Hello and welcome to Woodfired Weekly. Easter is nearly with us, and Easter means we're going to do some baking. A couple of things we've absolutely got to do at Easter. Hot cross buns, of course, and then something with chocolate. So we're going to have a lovely rich chocolate cake. And we're going to do both of those in the same oven, and the oven will be cleared out and falling in temperature. So this is quite a sort of specific way of cooking, ideal for baking because it's going to give us a nice stable temperature. So in here I've got some white bread flour, sugar, a little bit of salt. In here I've got my yeast, milk and a little bit of flour. So this is called a sponge, a little pre-fermented sponge, and it's going to give my hot cross buns a bit of a head start. And you can see it's nicely risen and really spongy already. It's only had kind of about 20 minutes, but that's plenty. Lovely gooey stuff, really sticky. And along with that, we're going to add some melted butter, a nice, kind of just a medium-sized egg, lovely colour to it, and that's going in. And this, with a little splash of water, should give me a sort of nice sticky dough, which will give us a really lovely soft pillowy dough later on. Then if I bring all that together, that should be sufficient liquid. And there's my dough, little bit tacky, little bit sticky, and that's absolutely ideal. So bear with me while I get slightly out of breath and throw this dough around a little bit. So now this is becoming nice and smooth. We've got nicely developed gluten, and we're going to get nice light hot cross buns. So what we need for that is some spice, ground mixed spice, mixed peel, and we need some fruit. So we've got some raisins, and I've soaked these in Earl Grey tea, and that just gives a little sort of floral note and a little bit more depth of flavour. Then I mix all three of these together. A couple of generous teaspoons of spice. Tip that on, and this is quite a lot of fruit in not much dough, so quite a high proportion, so we get really lovely fruity buns. Spread that out, kind of roll the dough over it, and then just start mixing it in. Our hot cross bun dough has had a couple of hours, and it's looking nicely risen, very soft, very light and puffy. And if I give it a thump, it sort of collapses back in on itself, so it's kind of reached the top of its rise. So I'm going to weigh this into 12 buns at about 100 grams. A simple rolling action on the bench, like that. So I'm going to put those somewhere fairly warm now. So at this point we do want the yeast to be nice and active, so I want to find a nice warm spot for them. Our oven is nicely heated up. It's had just over an hour. Our hot cross buns are nicely risen and feeling quite soft now, and just about sort of meeting each other. So they're kind of almost ready. So now I need to clear this oven out and then let it settle in temperature. So I do this very carefully. I do have a wooden floor on my deck, so I'm really quite careful when I do this. I have a good check round afterwards to make sure I haven't spilt any. Now it's really important that I let this oven settle, because at the moment where the embers were will be very hot, where I didn't have embers will be cooler, and we just need to let those temperatures even out so we've got a nice even baking environment. We're ready for hot cross buns. And now they've risen a tiny bit more again, so they're really meeting in the middle. So I'm going to set the timer, close the door. I'll glance at them after 3 or 4 minutes just to make sure the tops aren't browning, and if they are, then that will go on. Otherwise, 10 minutes and we should be done. Right, now we can move on and make the cake. In this bowl I've got ground almonds and sugar, 4 eggs, and I want the whites in here. So these we're going to beat to a nice sort of soft peak. In here I've got some coffee, that's going to go in there, along with a little dash of almond essence and my nice chocolate melted with butter mixture. Mix it all up. Make sure everything is well mixed. In with the egg white. And then I'm just going to fold that in. And that's going into a lined tin. And if we have a look at these now, beautiful. I'm just sort of pressing them to see that they kind of spring back. And we don't want them to be rock hard, these obviously. We want them to be nice and moist inside. So I'm going to go straight in with this cake. Actually, I'm going to do a little, just waggle my hand around in there. Really nice and gentle now. And I'll let those cool a little bit, and then we'll put just a sugar and water glaze on top to give them a lovely gloss. I really urge you to try some baking with your wood-fired oven, because there are no dials, we can't set any program. It's all about our own understanding of the oven, our own feeling for the oven, and checking those temperatures ourselves and reacting accordingly. But when you get it right, wow, is it satisfying. If you do a good sort of series of bakes using the falling oven, maybe starting with some bread and then some buns and then cake, it's really satisfying to have done all that out of one firing of the oven. Today we did lovely hot cross buns ready for Easter, this beautiful chocolate cake. Have a go at that. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be putting up one of these videos pretty much every week. We'll put the recipe onto our blog and we'll put a link to that below. So do give them a try. Let us know how you got on in the comments below. Thank you for watching and happy baking.